Alright, hello. Welcome back. I am Orsa, and this is the next part of my Mega Man X5 All Stages tutorial. Today we're going to be talking about Tidal Makkoeen, which is the most fun stage in the game. Ha ha ha. If you're on the 1 Maverick GA route, you'll be doing, your screen should look like mine does now, you'll be doing this third. If you're on the 2 Maverick one, you'll be doing this fourth after Dino Rex, Necrobat, and Crescent Grizzly. But anyway, so we'll be coming here next. Shouldn't have to equip any parts or anything yet, so just feel free to hop right in. Okay, so one thing to note about this stage is that if you, well, no, not if, you'll have the Crescent Slash, the pizza cutter, at this point, which is incredibly laggy. So it technically doesn't matter for in-game time, but if you like to optimize for real time as well, without harming your in-game time at all, which you can do because this is an auto-scroller, but it's convenient to not use the pizza cutter as much as you actually can. So what I like to do here is if you break the parts of the ship here on the back, the bottom part and the top part, they don't respawn, which can make this a little bit easier. However, we're pretty much at the point in the game where rank doesn't matter anymore. And actually it's sort of a hindrance in some senses, because the higher your rank is for longer, the higher the boss levels will be. So I like to, you don't have to do this, this is a very minor time save, but I take damage in this part in order to lower my rank if possible. Okay? And that kinda can help out later on, just a little bit. The only thing it does is gives bosses slightly less HP, excuse me, which is very, very minimal time save. So, if you don't want to worry about this, I wouldn't recommend doing it until you're very, very top tier at the game, but yeah, okay, so, auto-scroller. I just triple slash the bottom one, take some damage. So one thing to note about the fish guys is that they have two patterns depending on how wide they spread out. See, those didn't spread out as wide, so they were not going to bounce back at me. Whereas those guys, they spread out like super wide, so there's like two trajectories they can come out at. Either like not that wide, or like super wide. I'm exaggerating just a little bit, but if you just look at them, you'll be able to note the difference. The wider trajectories are going to bounce back at you. The smaller ones will not. So that can be relevant to keep in mind. And then I also SDC since there's no lag on Zero's, excuse me, first or second hit of his combo. There is on the third, so I tend to use just the first or second, usually just SDCing. Okay, so not a whole lot to say here, just be careful. Don't take too much damage. You can also mash out of the fish if one happens to swallow you. Okay, watch out for the spikes. If you don't, well, I guess you will have double jump, no matter what. The old route didn't have double jump at one point here, so it was kind of tough. A little tricky. Okay, so we're coming up on the first mid-boss here. I will show you my setup for this. The important thing to note about my setup is that the first frame of Zero's slash, the arc of his saber like starts 90 degrees up. So like the sword goes up here, and then it arcs down 180 degrees, something like that. So you can actually hit things that are directly above you, which is super convenient in this mid-boss. So what I do is, I'm pausing again, I don't need to pause. The ship will always start in the same position on the screen, so if you push it back like I'm doing right now, then it'll have to move forward to start the fight. So I push it back a bit and then just let it push me. It'll push me forward, and all I have to do is turn around and start SDCing. And I can SDC as fast as I want pretty much, because I only have to hit with the first frame of the saber animation in order to deal damage. So that's convenient. It's a nice setup, I think. Okay, so jump forward, that'll trigger the second one. These guys do respawn. If you want to kill them, great. You don't have to, though. Gives you a little something to do. Again, not a whole lot to say here. Just watch your health. Make sure you don't die. Again, I'm SDCing in order to reduce lag, even though it's not really necessary for in-game time. Okay, so the position I use to start this fight is that there's like, right in front of the ship, there's like two little spikes in the background. I usually stand on the second little tiny spike in the background. That gives you pretty good positioning. It's like you can sort of see where it is here. And then for this boss, you'll want to SSDC, if you can do that. This is one of the few enemies in the game that takes extra damage from the second hit of the combo. So you'll want to SSDC this guy. Okay, jump forward. So there's a small optimization you can go for here. If you get a dash jump on the first frame that this text box wears off, like the first frame you have control of 0, then the game will treat you as if you have water physics. It saves like one wall kick. So if you can get it, that's cool. If you can't, it's like a very minor, it's like a task thing. But anyway, so now that we have the double jump now from Grizzly, so you'll want to be using that to climb. That's faster than kicking anywhere you can use it. Okay, so you want to do something like this. Oops. So then, to destroy these guys, I mostly just use the pizza cutter. And I'm also canceling it by jumping into the wall. But this is pretty straightforward. Watch the spikes, and this will take you to the third part. This is going to be a fairly self-explanatory level, I think. The only really tough, challenging part is the boss fight. Also, if you break these, they come back. So you can break them if you want, but again, it's just like the second one. If you don't want to, you don't have to. Okay, so I guess I'll start very briefly just talking about the boss. With Tidal Makkoeen, we actually have his weakness. It's the pizza cutter. But we're not going to be using it for the most part. And the reason for that is because Makkoeen gets really big weakness iframes from his weakness, so we're going to be using a different weapon instead. It does about the same damage and gives very short iframes. Also for this setup, there's like the little yellow thing that protects the part of the ship you're trying to damage, the cannon part of it. But you can see like the cannon through it. Ship looks something like this. I positioned Zero's like ear thing, his pointy part of his helmet, like right in line with the cannon barrel. And that usually works pretty well for me. And then you have to break the jewel to drop the shield. This is bad. Okay. Yeah, you ideally want to break that before the shield comes back up, but my SDC was a little off, so... Alright, so... Makkoeen. I'm going to do this fight several times to give you an idea of what's going on in this fight. But essentially, again, his health bar is divided into about 1/3 and 2/3, I think. So like here's his health bar, very crooked health bar. But right around here is whenever he'll go into phase 2. So for the first phase, he'll be moving up and down on the right-hand side, throwing ice blocks at you. For that, you just want to use the Danqian or Quake Blazer. You can turn it away to cancel a little bit of lag, but again, that's a very minor time save. If you hit him and then turn. But yeah, so whenever his health gets to about half, though, you want to start being careful. And the reason for that is because you don't want to push him into phase 2. You want to control whenever you do that. So the way I do it is, I think it's 9 Quake Blazers. I count a certain amount. Let me make sure it's 9. I'll do this fight several times, so don't worry. Yeah, he'll be moving up and down, throwing ice blocks, and I'm going to do a certain amount of Quake Blazers to him. So let's see, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, it's 9. Okay, so I do 9 Quake Blazers, and then I wait for him to go to the top of his moving up and down animation. Once he's at the very tip top of it, I hit him with the Pizza Cutter Slash. Okay. And that'll stun him, but it will also push him into phase 2. But in order for him to go into phase 2, he has to come all the way back down to the ground. So from there, you can just SDC. So, let's see. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Top of his arc. He starts coming down. SDC and finish him with the Pizza Cutter. Okay. I shouldn't have killed him. But that's the gist of it, okay? 9 Quake Blazers. Wait for him to go to the top, Pizza Cutter, and then while he's coming down, SDC, and if he's about to start coming at you, Pizza Cutter him, and that should be enough to kill him, assuming your SDC's pretty good. Alright, I would show the whole stage again, but I don't think anyone wants to see that, so I'll just hold off on that. And then once you're here, pick Weapon and Energy, which is the bottom choice. That'll get you Energy Saver in 2 stages. Okay, so that's Tidal Makkoeen. Not a whole lot to say. Pretty straightforward stage, except for the boss fight, I think. Hard to lose time on. So yeah, next time we'll be going to Spike Rose Red on both routes, actually. So stay tuned for that. Should be fun. I will catch you next time.